It's 7 in the evening and I hand over the mixed pickle to the last customer. Thanks for coming, visit again, I say. Thank you, Julie, I'll definitely come again next time, says the customer with a smile. I hurriedly took all the racks of pickles inside, put the earnings in my bag, locked the shop, and got back home. I handed over the money to my grandma and went to my room upstairs to freshen up. I hurriedly finished my homework and was about to go downstairs for dinner when I noticed my neighbor's house, which is Aunt Tina's house, bright and full of people. I tried peeking through but couldn't see anything. I gave up and went to it instead. Grandma, is there some function going on in Aunt Tina's place? No, Tina's elder brother has moved from the city with his family. That's why the house is crowded today, said Grandma. Whoa, that sounds fun, I replied. What fun! I wonder how so many people adjust to such a tiny house, she murmured. That many people living together is definitely gonna invite dramas and fights. Just wait and watch, said Grandma, shaking her head left and right and raising her eyebrows in disappointment. Oh, then looks like we will have fun, I replied jokingly. Yeah, that's for sure, said Grandma. Julie, since it's Sunday tomorrow, do you mind helping your grandma clean the shop? Yeah, sure, Grandma. In fact, I was planning to do that myself, I replied. That's very sweet of you, darling. I nodded. Next day, I went to the shop and helped Grandma take out the unnecessary packages, clean the shelves, and mop the whole floor. The clean shop looked fresh and welcoming. After the hard work, Grandma and I sat for tea. Grandma, can I have a few bucks? I want to buy a book, I said. But you already have the books for your school, don't you? Grandma, I'm not talking about school books. I want to buy a storybook from my favorite writer, I said. Well, take this money then. This is all I have for expenses this month. Buy me my medicine and get whatever you want with the change, she said. Oh, that's so nice of you, Grandma. Thank you so much. I rushed to the medical store and got her medicine. But to my surprise, medicine cost 90 bucks and only 10 was left. And the book would cost around 70 bucks. There was no way I could buy the book. Disappointed, I returned home only with the medicine. Upon reaching home, I saw my neighbor's child playing with other children. They must be her nephews, I thought. Then, my eyes went to the front door of the house where a girl of my age was laughing and chatting with elders who seemed like her parents. The atmosphere looked cheerful. The house was full of people and everyone looked happy. The sight, for some reason, made me uncomfortable. I felt uneasy and sad. Trying to ignore, I went inside the house. Grandma, since we have relatives in the city, could we visit them sometimes? Or maybe call them here? I would love to meet my cousins, I said. Well, darling, Grandma replied, it's good to have less people around, you know. We definitely have relatives, but they're not good human beings. Your Uncle James and his wife are selfish people. So forget about them, she explained. But as much as I remember, when Uncle James visited us, he was incredibly kind to me and even convinced Grandma to let him take me to the city. His words echoed in my mind ever since. Let the child have the life she deserves. The city will open doors. She can be anything she likes. Here, she'll end up becoming just like you and ruin her life. And my brother wouldn't let that happen if he was alive. You know that, said Uncle James. But for some reason, they had a huge argument, and Uncle James left. Since then, I've never seen him again. I always wondered why Grandma had denied. I do feel like my life would be different if I lived in the city. I would learn many things. I would have a lot of friends, and since I want to be an author, it would be much easier to pursue my dream in the city. However, whenever I told Grandma about my wish to go to the city in the future, she would get very emotional. She would always cry hearing that and say, Julie, do you dislike your grandma so much that you would want to run away from me? It was not like that, but it made me feel guilty and upset at the same time. I stopped bringing up the topic to her. Also, more than anything, I love my grandma, and I would never leave her alone. The next day at school, our class teacher introduced us to a new student in the class. It was none other than the girl that I saw in Aunt Tina's house. Hello everyone, my name is Ruru. I hope you all will accept me as a friend, she said with confidence. Everyone cheered for her. Wow, she looks beautiful, girls started whispering. Just look at her, she looks so elegant, some said. I could see boys getting excited too. The whispers and chatter filled the whole classroom. To my surprise, until the class was over, she managed to make friends too. Seems like she was a social butterfly, and I disliked her already. On my way home, she waved at me, but I knew I couldn't tolerate her. I rolled my eyes, ignored her, and walked away. I reached home exasperated. All I wanted to do was eat and write, but to my dismay, there were guests at home. That was the last thing I wanted. And even worse, I saw the face I disliked the most Aunt Natasha, Grandma's eldest daughter. She was nothing but pain. Welcome home, Julie, she said, with the utmost fake smile. Come, join us, she asked. No, you guys carry on. I have some work. Saying that, I left. But how can I forget who I was dealing with? Kids these days, they have no respect for elders. No greetings, no nothing, she blurted. I took a deep breath and walked towards my room. I freshened up and went downstairs. Come, join us, Julie, one of the women said. I smiled and sat next to her. How beautiful you have become, just like your mom, she said. Thank you, I replied. I could see Aunt Natasha rolling her eyes. God, it's so difficult to raise a child these days, especially these disobedient and difficult children. My mother is naive that she loves this girl and takes care of her like her own child. I wonder why, she said with her disgusted expression. The other woman kept silent because of her uncomfortable remarks. Meanwhile, Grandma had nothing to say, and when she spoke, I was surprised. Let the child alone, she said sweetly. Take this, honey. Go get yourself something to eat. Enjoy with your friends, she said. I was shocked when she offered me 200 bucks. I took the money with great excitement. However, I was worried at the same time because the day before yesterday she had mentioned we have no money left for the expenses, and all of a sudden she gave me 200. Brushing away the thoughts, I went straight to the bookshop to get my favorite book, Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. But when I reached, someone else was there to buy the same book. The girl bought the book and turned around. And to my surprise, it was Ruru. Our eyes met, but since I had ignored her earlier today, she ignored and walked past me. Whatever, I murmured, and asked the shopkeeper for the book, but he said the last piece was sold out. I couldn't believe my luck today. What a worst day. Nothing has been going well, I thought. I returned home disappointed. The next day, however, was a bit different. At school, our class teacher announced an educational trip to the city for 3 days. I was super excited to hear that. My heart beat faster. I have a chance to see the city. Oh my god. Although I couldn't shift to the city, I could at least get a chance to feel the atmosphere. I was on cloud 9. And luckily, we had to pay only 200 bucks for the trip. And I didn't have to ask grandma for money. I giggled out of excitement. All right, children, attention. Here I have a letter of consent for the trip. Each one of you will get the copy. Please get a signature from your guardian and submit it by tomorrow, all right? Everyone agreed in excitement. Grandma, please sign this consent letter, I said. What is this, Julie? Grandma squinted her eyes looking at the paper. I gave her the glasses. Yeah, please sign here, I told her in excitement. Can you tell me what it is? Grandma, this is the letter to my dream, I said. What? This is an agreement letter you have to sign to allow me to go for an educational trip for 3 days. What? She exclaimed in surprise. Yes, Grandma, you heard that right. Your Julie will travel to the city. What about the cost? It must cost a humongous amount, she said worriedly. No, not at all. Only 200 bucks, I replied. See, I don't have 200 bucks, she said. Don't you worry, Grandma. I have money. You just sign the paper, I said, squeezing her cheeks. Okay, she reluctantly signed it. I was on cloud 9. Each day felt like a month, and the trip was finally happening tomorrow. I got all my essentials and packed the bag before dinner. I hurriedly went downstairs to eat, but it was weird. Grandma was not there. Grandma, I called. Then I went to her room. and saw that she was lying on the floor unconscious. Chills ran down my spine. Grandma! I screamed. She didn't open her eyes. I checked her nose and she was breathing. Thank God. I ran to my neighbors. Aunt Tina, something's wrong with Grandma, I told her. She and other adults rushed to our house. We took Grandma to the hospital. My body felt numb. My hands were shaking. What if something happens to her? The fear caused an uneasy sensation. Tears rolled down my cheeks. I sat on the wooden bench outside the room, crossing my fingers. All I did was pray to God for my grandma. Aunt Tina stayed by my side during the whole turmoil. The next morning, Grandma finally woke up. I sighed the longest air of relief. With the doctor's permission, I went inside to see Grandma. She smiled, looking at me. Then her expression changed to worry. Darling, what are you doing here? Isn't it your trip today? She asked worriedly. Grandma, why are you worrying about that? Stop stressing about unnecessary things. It's your health that matters. How can I leave you and enjoy my trip? Doctor said you suffered a vasovagal syncope, which is caused due to anxiety. So stop stressing and relax, alright? Oh, I am so sorry, Julie, she said, kissing my hand. Grandma, please stop. Finally, she got discharged and we went home. Aunt Tina had prepared some healthy soups and porridge for Grandma, which she sent via Rudu. I was surprised to see her there. It was an awkward moment. Hey, I managed to say. How's Grandma? She asked. Doing good, just a little tired, I replied. That's a relief. Please give this to her, she said, extending the food. Thanks, I said. Did you go to the trip? I asked. No, I'm not interested. Since I came from the city itself, it's not fun, she replied. Okay, that makes sense. Please do let me know if you need anything, alright? She said before leaving. I nodded. Just like that, summer vacation approached. Unlike other kids who would be super excited for the vacation, I hated it because it was not a fun time for me but a huge challenge as Aunt Natasha would come to stay for weeks. Her and Grandma would sit and gossip or argue the whole day. She felt like a bad influence on Grandma. Whenever she was around, Grandma would be grumpy most of the time. There was nothing to learn from her besides her irrelevant lectures on women's boundaries and ethics. How women should learn household chores and look after everyone, blah blah. But I never agreed to her opinions. Even though I was young, I believed that as a woman I could do much better in life than limiting myself to useless morals and boundaries. Deep in concentration, I was crafting the intricate plot twists of my long in the work story at home when a sudden sensation of dampness startled me. My gaze fell upon my notebook, now soaked with water. Disoriented, I looked up to find Aunt Natasha standing over me, a watering can in her hand. Hey, what's wrong with you, Aunt Natasha? Why did you do that? I yelled angrily. You brat! Aren't you ashamed? The old lady is working day and night, and you're here wasting time on this stupid thing, she said, grinding her teeth. She got me mad. This is not stupid thing, and I've got the dinner ready. I wasn't sitting idle, so stop your nonsense, I yelled back. She looked furious. She approached and squeezed my cheeks. Know your limits, you brat. You are here living at my mom's expense. And you arrogant little thing, don't you even realize your responsibility to pay her back? I jerked her hand away. How dare you? Her face was a mask of rage. Just then, Grandma entered. What's with you two? Joey, are you troubling your aunt? Be a nice girl, alright? It was unbelievable. I said nothing. I turned and left the room. Seeking solace in my usual refuge, I headed towards the nearby cliff. The tranquility of the place was immediate, the cool air and the rhythmic chirping of crickets soothing my troubled mind. As I lay back, gazing at the vast expanse of stars, a familiar question lingered. Would my life ever truly change? Lost in my reflections, a sudden sound shattered the peaceful silence. The muffled sobs of someone in distress drew my attention. Curiosity piqued. I cautiously approached the source of the sound. Just beyond a cluster of bushes, I found a figure kneeling, their shoulders shaking with grief. Are you okay? I inquired gently. Startled by my voice, the girl looked up. her face a mask of fear and distress. And to my surprise, it was Ruru. Are you okay? I asked gently. Without a word, she turned around and fled towards the village, leaving me utterly bewildered. I watched her go, a wave of confusion washing over me. What a strange girl, I thought. Back at home, I went straight to my room. Since I had lost my appetite, I didn't want to eat. But somewhere deep down, I expected Grandma to come and console me. But hours passed by, and nothing happened. Eventually, exhaustion overtook me, and I drifted to sleep. The next morning, as I awoke, Grandma entered the room. Julie, since you have entire free day today, I was hoping you could help your neighbor Aunt Tina decorate her house for her son's birthday. No, Grandma, I replied softly. I have plans to study for my upcoming exams. What's wrong, Julie? She inquired gently. It would only take a few hours. You're not going to study all day, are you? Please, go help your neighbor. I've already promised to send you. Grandma, are you serious? Why didn't you ask me first? And why would I choose some silly birthday party over my studies? I'm not going anywhere. Oh dear. So Grandma needs your permission now, Aunt Natasha interjected, her voice sharp. She raised you with love and countless sacrifices, and this is the gratitude you show. Grandma, come on. How can she say such a thing over something so trivial? All right, I'm going. I'll go lend her a hand. I agreed hesitantly, though the thought of missing precious study time still rankled. I walked towards my neighbor's house, a knot of disappointment still lingering within me. As I entered, my eyes fell upon Ruru, laughing and playing with the birthday boy. To my surprise, she seemed perfectly fine. I joined Aunt Tina lending a hand in blowing up the colorful balloons. Once inflated, I carefully hung them around the room, creating a festive atmosphere. As I reached for the letters to decorate the board, a tap on my shoulder startled me. It was Ruru. Hi, Julie, she greeted me, her voice slightly hesitant. Hi, I replied, blinking rapidly, still a bit of unsure of how to approach her. I'm sorry about yesterday, she confessed, her cheeks tinged with a faint blush. I wasn't myself. That's all right, I assured her. Are you feeling better now? Yes, thanks for asking, she replied, a genuine smile gracing her lips. Want some help? She offered. Sure, that would be great, I said. Would you mind passing me the letters while I'll climb up the chair and paste them? She nodded eagerly, and soon we were working side by side, the awkwardness of the previous day fading away. As we worked, we struck up a conversation, and I discovered that she too loved reading. But that didn't surprise me, as I had already guessed that when I saw her grabbing Wuthering Heights just before me. When I confessed my dream of becoming an author, her eyes widened in admiration. What? You want to be an author? She exclaimed. She then led me to her room, and my jaw dropped at the sight that greeted me. Bookshelves lined the wall, overflowing with classic novels and some of my favorite books. Oh my god, Ruru, you're a book hoarder! Exclaimed jokingly. Would you mind sharing this treasure with me? Of course, she replied, her eyes sparkling with excitement. You can take any of these. It would make me so happy. What? Are you serious? I asked, disbelief coloring my voice. Yes, absolutely. I'm not kidding. Please take whatever you like, she insisted. I stared at her, speechless. Okay, I'll take them after the party is over, I said, still trying to process her incredible offer. Turns out her family had recently moved to our city after experiencing a significant setback. Ruru confided that her parents had owned a thriving pickle business in the city, but her father's declining health had forced them to close down. The weight of her family's misfortune was clearly weighing heavily on her, compounded by the loneliness of being new to the village and lacking friends. That's why I cried last night, she explained, her voice tinged with sadness. Hearing her story, a wave of empathy washed over me. Hey, don't worry, I replied, offering a reassuring smile. Everything will be all right. Thanks, she said, a glimmer of hope returning to her eyes. From that moment on, an instant connection formed between us. We became inseparable, spending every free moment together. This was the first time I had truly connected with someone on such a deep level, and the feeling of genuine friendship filled me with unexpected joy. Having lived her entire life in the city, Ruru had fascinating stories to share, offering me a glimpse into a world I only imagined. At home, Aunt Natasha would often scowl whenever she saw us together, but I chose to ignore her negativity and continue to cherish my newfound friendship. One day, I took Ruru to our family's pickle shop. As I expertly navigated the tasks, demonstrating my knowledge of the trade, she watched in amazement. Wow, you know so much about this, she exclaimed. I'm surprised you can even run the shop by yourself at this age. Grandma taught me everything, I replied with a grin. And besides, I'm 16 now. I can definitely handle it. Ruru stood there speechless for a moment, her eyes wide with astonishment. Then, breaking the silence, she pleaded, Julie, can you teach me everything about pickles? Please, I want to learn everything. If I can learn to make pickles, I can help my parents. They're already going through so much, and I want to do something to make things better for them. Please, 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 she begged, her eyes beaming with desperation. Seeing her sincerity and unwavering determination, I couldn't refuse. We One evening, as I worked at the shop, Ruru arrived, a wide grin splitting her face and a large bag clutched in her hand. Look what I brought, she exclaimed. What? I asked, my curiosity piqued. She pulled out a series of stunning photo albums, one by one. Cool, I breathed. Come on, let me give you a tour to my life, she declared, her eyes sparkling. She began flipping through the pages, narrating the stories behind each photograph. Breathtaking landscapes, bustling cityscapes, impressive buildings, and vibrant faces. It was a captivating journey, a glimpse into a world I had only imagined. As I gazed at the images, a sense of longing washed over me. I felt as though I had missed out on so much, my own life in the village seeming dull and unexciting in comparison. I had merely survived, it seemed, not truly lived and explored, but who could I blame for my circumstances, I thought, a wave of melancholy sweeping over me. Ru- Ruru continued, pointing out her friends, showcasing her school, and even sharing pictures of her parents with other adults. Suddenly, a familiar face leaped out at me from one of the photographs. A man sitting beside Ruru's father was beaming at the camera. I squinted my eyes, trying to focus. Then the realization hit me with the force of thunderbolt. It was Uncle James. Ruru, do you know this man? I asked, my voice trembling slightly. Yes, she replied casually. He's Uncle James, Dad's friend. Why, do you know him? Yes, I confessed, my voice barely a whisper. He is my uncle. Ah, that makes sense, she said, seemingly unconcerned. He's Dad's childhood friend. Do you have his contact number? I asked, my heart pounding. Dad might have it. Do you want me to get it for you? She offered. Can you? My voice dropping to a hushed whisper. But don't let anyone know. I asked for it. I don't want Grandma to find out. Rest assured, she said, patting my shoulder. My mind raced, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within me. Should I reach out to him? What if he was angry with me? What if he didn't even recognize me? What if he told Grandma? Anxiety gnawed at me, leaving me restless and uncertain. Back at home, I lost in thought, replaying the encounter in my mind. Julie? Grandma's voice startled me. Pass me the butter! I snapped back to reality, startled by her sudden intrusion. What, Grandma? I replied, my mind still reeling from the unexpected discovery. Pass me the butter, Grandma instructed, her voice laced with a hint of concern. What's wrong with you, Julie? Ever since you've become friends with that new girl, you've been acting strangely. Take my advice, stay away from her. She's a trouble. No, Grandma, I protested. She's a really nice girl. All right, eat your meal, she said, her tone softening slightly. It's getting cold. Also, she continued, Aunt Natasha will be here for the next 3 months. She'll arrive tomorrow. What? I exclaimed, surprised. But why? She just left yesterday. Julie, Grandma scolded, her voice sharp.
What's wrong with you? She's your aunt. She cares deeply for you. And yet you're shocked to have a rival? How can you be so heartless?
No, no, that's not what I meant, Grandma. I quickly clarified. It's just that sometimes I feel like you love her more.
How can you even think that?
Grandma replied, her voice hurt.
I love all my children equally.
No, you don't, I teased. You love your daughter the most. I saw it last time. It was obvious. Grandma chuckled, attempting to playfully swat me with her napkin. I dodged her playful attack, a smile spreading across my face. The next day at school, Ruru handed me Uncle James's phone number, a small slip of paper clutched in her hand. Thanks, I said, throwing my arms around her in a grateful hug.
Come on, it's nothing compared to the help you've given me. I owe you big time.
Shut up, I teased, managing a weak smile.
You should call him after school, she suggested.
I, I don't know, I stammered, anxiety creeping in. What if he doesn't recognize me?
No ifs and buts. Just do it, she urged, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. I can borrow Dad's cell phone if you want, she offered, pulling out a sleek device from her pocket.
Oh, that's amazing! Thanks, 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 I exclaimed, hugging her tightly again.
Whoa, relax, she laughed, patting me on the back.
After school, I rushed straight to my room, my heart pounding like a drum. I clutched the phone number, my mind racing with 1,000 different scenarios. What should I say? How should I start the conversation? My body trembled with a mixture of excitement and fear. Suddenly, the door burst open, and Ruru rushed in, her face flushed. She held out her father's phone. Here, she said, her eyes filled with anticipation. I took the phone, my fingers trembling as I dialed the number. Each ring echoed in my ear, my breath catching in my throat. Hello? A voice answered, a deep and familiar voice that sent shivers down my spine.